Welcome to the dark side of love. Not all love stories are wrapped in roses and vows. Some are drenched in silence, stained in guilt, and whispered between people who should have never felt that way about each other. The truth, it's not always about what's right. Sometimes it's about what you need, even if the world says you shouldn't. Today's story is one of those. A whispered sentence, a forbidden glance, and a summer that blurred every moral line I thought I understood. Dad, I'll do whatever you say. I whispered, not to my real father, but to the man who raised me, protected me, and eventually ruined me. My name is Thelma, 30 years old, and what happened with my stepfather still clings to my skin like sweat from that stormy Indiana night. But before we get to the whisper, to the fire behind our eyes, we have to go back to the beginning. Stick with me. What happened? In that house will challenge everything you think you know about loyalty, betrayal, and desire. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been riding these emotional roller coasters with me for a while, thank you. You're the heartbeat of this channel. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. Let me know how this story made you feel. I want to hear every word, because this isn't just a confession. It's an unraveling. Chapter 1. Return to the house I once called home. I grew up in northern Indiana. Quiet town. White fences, perfect lawns. The kind of place where secrets are hidden in plain sight, like wine glasses and dishwashers, bruises under makeup, and long silences at the dinner table. My real father left before I could spell his name, by the time I was 7. Lisa, my mother, had remarried. His name was Greg. He was tall with arms like tree trunks, a voice that could quiet a room, and a presence that filled doorways before his feet did. He was never dad to me. Not officially, but over the years, it just slipped out. He never corrected me. Greg wasn't affectionate. But he was there, always present, protective. A steady mountain in a house that often felt like it was shaking. My mother. She disappeared into Chardonnay by 5 p.m. every day. She laughed too loud at things that weren't funny and smiled too long at strangers. She kept up appearances, but inside she was hollowed out. I knew she wasn't happy, but I also knew she'd never leave him. He was the house, the roof, the food, the rules. I left Indiana at 22, with dreams of becoming someone else. But life doesn't always cooperate with our timelines, and heartbreak doesn't care how hard you work to escape your childhood. Chapter 2. Broken at THRTY at 30. I had nothing, no boyfriend. Jake cheated on me with my best friend. No apartment rent overdue, lights off, bags packed in trash bags, no plan. Just tears and an Uber ride back to the place I thought I'd never return when I walked into that house. Again, it smelled exactly the same pine-scented cleaner. Old wood, vanilla candles from Walmart. My mother hugged me tight, slurring slightly. Greg stood behind her, watching me like I was someone he hadn't seen in years. And maybe I wasn't. I was older, more aware, wiser, and far more broken. I settled into my childhood room, smaller than I remembered, creaky bed frame, soft lavender walls. I tried to breathe, but every inhale felt like I was swallowing my pride. That first week, I noticed him more. Greg, his presence, the way his shirts clung to his chest when he walked in from the garage. Sweat darkening the fabric, the way his hands moved when he fixed things around the house, deliberate. Sure, capable. And the way his voice sounded when he called my name. It wasn't warm, it wasn't soft, but it made my stomach tighten. Anyway, Chapter 3. One afternoon to Quayateat was a Wednesday. Late afternoon, my mom had gone out, another book club that always ended in tequila and lipstick on her teeth. Greg was in the garage. I was in the kitchen. I spilled cranberry juice on my white tank top. It's cold, sticky, sharp red across my chest. I tried dabbing it with a wet towel when I heard the door swing open. Greg, he paused in the doorway, eyes dropping, freezing. Then, lingering, the air between us shifted. He stepped forward, not fast, not reckless, just deliberate. He reached out, lifted the hem of my tank top gently, like he was checking for more stains. His thumb brushed just beneath the fabric. Right at the top of my jeans, I stopped breathing. We said nothing. His touch was fleeting, but it burned. Not because of what it was, but because of what it wasn't supposed to be. I stood, still, frozen, not afraid, just full of something unforgettable, complicated, dangerous, alive. Chapter 4. The Whisper That Shook the House. 2 days later, we were alone again. I was rinsing dishes in the sink. Leaning slightly forward, he came behind me, reaching for a glass, he said. But his hand didn't just reach. It lingered, brushed against my hip. Stayed a beat too long. I turned to face him. His eyes met mine. There was no fatherly warmth, only hunger. And I leaned in, just slightly. Just enough. "Dad," I whispered, "I'll do whatever you say." He didn't answer, but his breath caught. His jaw clenched. His pupils darkened. The silence was a scream we both pretended not to hear. That night, couldn't sleep. Not because of fear, but because of memory. His hand, his breath. That moment, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, knowing I had crossed a line I didn't fully understand and didn't want to uncross. Chapter 5. The Storm. Storm hit on a Saturday. Indiana thunder rolls like a living thing, shaking glass, growling against your ribs. I couldn't sleep. I crept downstairs for a drink, barefoot, wearing only a thin robe tied at the waist, and he was there, Greg, shirtless, sweatpants, drinking straight from the bottle, sitting in the dark like a man waiting for something terrible. Or something irresistible. He looked at me. "You all right?" "No," I answered. He nodded once. "Then come here." I stepped closer. Lightning flashed behind me. Thunder cracked above. He reached out, fingers brushing the knot of my robe. Untied it. "Let it fall. You're not a little girl anymore," he said. "I know," I whispered. "Do you want this?" He asked. I didn't lie. "I don't know what I want, but I can't stop thinking about it." He stepped forward. His hand grazed my collarbone. My breath caught. My knees weakened. "Then stop fighting it." I whispered. And we didn't. We crossed a line that night. One that no storm, no guilt, no silence would ever erase. Chapter 6. The silence that followed the next morning. It was like nothing had happened. Greg sat at the kitchen table reading the local paper. One leg crossed over the other, coffee steaming in front of him like any other Sunday. But I knew better. There was a stiffness in his shoulders, a hesitation in his breath when I walked in. I wore the same robe, but this time nothing underneath. Tied loose? On purpose. I needed to know if it had been real. If I had imagined the whole thing. If the way his hands had roamed my body was just a fever dream from a stormy night. But when I leaned over to grab a coffee mug, our fingers brushed, and for 1 second, just one breath of time, he didn't pull away. We held each other in silence. Then he let go, and in that moment, I knew. He wanted me just as badly as I wanted him. Chapter 7. The world outside didn't. 2 days passed. Neither of us spoke about that night. But everything about us changed. The way we avoided eye contact at dinner. The way my mother laughed too loud while Greg stared into his plate. The electricity in the air when I walked past him in the hallway. Bare legs. A whisper of perfume. Tension like static crackling between us. Every time he looked at me, I felt my skin tighten. Every time I heard his voice call my name, had to remind myself to breathe. Then came the backyard moment. It was late July, the kind of hot that makes the air feel thick with secrets. Greg was fixing a broken patio chair, sweat running down his back, shirt thrown somewhere nearby. I stood at the kitchen window, watching him. I should have looked away. I did instead. I walked outside. "About that night," Kay began. He didn't let me finish. He grabbed my wrist. Not hard, just firm. like he was trying to stop time. With his fingers, "Not here," he said, voice sharp. "Garage." Later, the garage. Of course. Our unspoken confessional. Chapter 8. OIL, sawdust, and SURAL smelled like gasoline. Pinewood, and something else I couldn't name. Maybe guilt. Maybe need. The garage was Greg's kingdom. And now, it became our sanctuary. He closed the door behind me, locked it. For a moment, we just stared at each other, two people standing on opposite sides of a line we had already crossed. "I can't stop thinking about you," he said. I didn't hesitate. "I know." I breathed. He stepped forward, lifted my chin with his fingers like I was made of glass and confession. And in his eyes, I didn't see retreat. I saw hunger, fire, possession. He kissed me, not like a man kissing his stepdaughter, but like a man who had held back for years, and finally broke. And I let him. I clung to him like I was afraid he might disappear if I let go. I whispered the words I knew would change everything. "I'll do whatever you say." "Dad." He froze. Just for a second, then leaned in closer. "Then prove it," he said. And I did. Chapter 9. The Breaking End. When it was over, I sat on a stool by the workbench, sore, breathless, dazed. Greg stared at the floor like a man trying to find the edge of a cliff he'd just jumped off. Then he looked at me, just once. "You need to leave," he said. My heart dropped. "What?" I whispered. He didn't blink. "You can't stay here anymore. If this keeps happening, it will destroy both of us." Tears welled up before I could stop them. "I came back because I needed you," I said, my voice trembling. "And now you've had me," he said, cold, flat. "Now you need to go." He walked away, left me there, half dressed, half ruined, completely shattered. Chapter 10. Goodbyes and Salience. I did night. I packed a single bag. My mother sat in the living room, a glass of wine in one hand, remote in the other. She didn't look up. When I walked past, "Going somewhere?" she asked. "Yeah," I lied. "Just for a while." She smiled, faint, distant, plastic. "Take care of yourself, sweetie." If she knew, she suspected. She never said a word. I left before sunrise. Doc got in my car and drove east to Indianapolis. Rented a tiny apartment with 2 windows and a creaky door. Bought a cheap mattress. Lived out of boxes. And tried to forget. Chapter 11. The Achevin Butt. How do you forget someone who made you and then unmade you in the same breath? How do you erase desire when it lives in your skin? It's been 7 months. No texts, no calls. No accidental run-ins. But some nights, I wake up sweating, heart racing, thighs aching, lips parted in a name I can't say out loud anymore. I still feel his touch. I still hear his voice. I still remember that night when the thunder drowned our guilt and the lightning lit our sin. And the worst part? I don't regret it, not in the way I should, because it wasn't about love. It wasn't about rebellion. It was about being seen, desired, held, needed, even if it was wrong, especially because it was. Chapter 12. The cost of DSR desire is a monster when you feed it secrets. It doesn't care about bloodlines or last names or what society thinks. It only wants more. And once you let it in, once you answer it, you don't get to go back. You become something else. I'm no longer just a woman. No longer a daughter, not a lover either. Just something in between, broken in places no one can see. Outro. Your turn to SBA Kane. Now it's your turn. If you were in my shoes, if you were in his shoes, would you have stopped it? Or would you have whispered the same thing I did? "I'll do whatever you say." Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm listening. And if this story gripped your chest and refused to let go like it did mine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes the most forbidden stories are the ones we carry longest. This was the dark side of love. Until next time.